Good evening, it's Freddy Vasquez with Basement Politics Unfiltered. Tonight, let's discuss the fake from real. Plus, Fre-Fre-Fre-Freddy the Khaders. Yeah, it's so good. Good evening, it's Freddy Vasquez with Basement Politics Unfiltered. Thank you for joining me. Happy Friday. Freaking internet. The internet. Good evening. Sorry, I was trying to come on and I was having some issues with my my internet connection. So hopefully I won't freeze up or anything like that. But anyway, happy Friday, TGIF. Thank you for joining or watching whenever you do. Basement Politics. I'm Freddy Vasquez. Today I want to talk about just the reality, right? And fake, news, I guess, but just the fake perception of things, just both on a national level and on a local level here. And I've been getting into I don't want to say debates or arguments, but I do go back and forth with certain people on Facebook, and they call me a Republican simply because of some of my views or my opinions, but I don't think necessarily that means I'm a Republican. I think that as a Democrat you should be able to disagree with Democrats maybe at times, and that should be okay. And you shouldn't be labeled a Republican. But we've been being pit against each other, pretty hard, in recent times, Republicans versus Democrats, right? And then on every topic from, Roe versus Wade, abortion, gun rights, and racism, and everything in between. Recently, I was reading an article on Yahoo News. Joe Biden recently issued an executive order making it easier, I guess, for women to have access to contraception based on the recent Supreme Court ruling, the overturning of Roe versus Wade. Biden signs executive order on abortion access, right? And I don't want to talk about the abortion thing too much, but I just want to talk about what he says here. And he's quoted as saying, "We cannot allow an out-of-control Supreme Court working in conjunction with extremist elements of the Republican Party to take away freedoms and our personal autonomy." So the point really is that he's basically trying to discredit the Supreme Court. And, I don't care if you're Republican or you're Democrat, I think that should concern you. Our Supreme Court doesn't matter anymore. He's saying that they're working in conjunction with elements of, the extreme elements of the Republican Party. And so that now our Supreme Court is, compromised and we cannot trust what they decide anymore. He's basically, discrediting them. And I don't think that that's okay as a president. I think that's irresponsible, very irresponsible. You can disagree, but to say that they are, working with extreme elements or saying whatever, decision they came to was a result of some nefarious, reasoning, it's just irresponsible to me. And I think that that's doing a disservice to our country as a whole. All right. But what about the people, who were forced to be vaccinated? What about their personal autonomy? Right. I mean, I'm just saying, let's be fair. Right. What about the ones who had to get injected even though they didn't want to, or those that did not get injected, refused the shot and lost their job as a result? What about their autonomy? What about the teenagers who were forced to take the vaccine in order to remain in their sports program at high schools and then suffered strokes? Yeah, there are a lot of stories like that. And many of them can't play sports anymore. These are true stories. You can go on and do your own research because, of course, CNN is not going to put these individuals up, and not even Fox News for that matter. And what about the ones that refuse to take the injections, the teens, and ended up having to, be kicked off their team or quit and ended up losing scholarships? sports scholarships as a result because they could not play in their senior year. They didn't want to take the vaccine. And they made the smart move, right? So what about their personal autonomy? And again, I'm not making this abortion, versus anti-abortion versus pro-abortion. It's not about that. It's about, we talk about equality and we talk about fairness. And if you want people to support the right for people to have abortions, then you have to support people's rights to deny or say no to a vaccine or any other, forced medication or injection in the future. You can't have it both ways, right? And so the media portrays it, in a way that I believe is fake, right? Or it's manipulated, it's created, it creates a perception that's not real and that influences people to think things that then they go on Facebook and just start to debate people. And it's like, that's not all the way true. Did you completely read that? Or have you done the research? Have you studied? Have you looked at the numbers and the data? Because that's what matters, right? Not what CNN or even Fox News, again, is putting in their headline, right? I feel like we're living in a twilight zone. It's kind of insane. I don't know about you, especially when it comes to Ukraine. And that's what I would talk about again. Another illusion that's been created by our media to get people to support this proxy war or our involvement in Ukraine. And I'm not against Ukraine. I'm not against the Ukrainian people. What I am for is bettering this country because we are in bad shape. And I don't think that engaging in a proxy war, any kind of war with any country, is the thing we should be doing now. The billions of dollars that are being spent and sent over to the Ukraine could be used here in the United States. And actually, we don't even have that money to spend here in the United States at all. So it's really just the country borrowing more money and kicking the can down the road. And ultimately, our kids and grandkids will deal with it if we don't ultimately deal with it, right? So why did Russia invade? I just want I want to know if people truly all the way know. Not everyone, I'm saying, but some people, because of the debates that I have and the, I don't know, arguments, I guess, back and forth on Facebook. Some people don't actually know all the facts. Why did Russia enter or invade Ukraine? Is it because they're just some evil empire that wants to take over the world? Right? Well, no, it's because they felt threatened. Zelensky, the president, who is currently the president of Ukraine, a former actor and comedian, it's kind of like the Donald Trump of Ukraine. Right. He, since becoming president, has been vocal about becoming a member of NATO. Right. And that poses threat to Russia. It's similar to the Bay of Pigs. If I don't know if some of you may remember, but Bay of Pigs happened back when JFK, John F. Kennedy, was president, and Russia at the time wanted to put missiles on Cuban soil. Well, Cuba's 90 miles south of the Florida Keys, and that was not going to happen. That posed a threat to our country. So you have to understand why Putin would want to, do something about that. And that was an agreement that was made with the United States and other Western countries and Russia back when they were the USSR as a part of the agreement for them pulling out of East Berlin. After World War II, Berlin was divided into East and West, and Russia occupied East Berlin. So they agreed they'd pull out, but that Western countries, the United States, would not go past, East Berlin or cross that anymore or move any more east, into those territories, closing in on Russia. And they agreed to that. So having Ukraine become a NATO, member violates that agreement. And Putin was not having that, and so, when I say to people, well, Trump wanted to have peace because he met with Putin and he met with, the leader of China and he met with the leader of North Korea. It's not because I'm a Trumpster. It's not because I'm a MAGA hat wearing person. Okay. It's not, that's because I want peace. I want peace. I don't want us to go to war. And that's actually where we're headed now. And that's what we should be focusing on, because that's going to impact us all. Right now, we are in a proxy war. So basically, the United States is sending billions of dollars and military weapons to Ukraine, prolonging this unnecessary conflict. Because if we weren't involved, Russia would be done already. But we're prolonging it by doing that. And why? Because ultimately, there are people who have an interest in actually going to war with Russia. people who are in the military industrial complex and the banking industry. So Biden has placed sanctions on Russia. And what has that done? That's screwing us. We're paying the prices of the gas at the pumps, right? Because the sanctions by Western countries are limiting exports from Russia or imports from Russia, their oil or whatever else, and it's causing shortages all around. So prices, of course, of goods and services have gone up. So we're feeling the effects of, in that sense as well. And do you guys care about that? Is it okay that you're paying these high gas prices in order to continue this proxy war in the Ukraine? Or do you just say, hey, US, let's just get up out of there? Right? I mean, because if you look at what happened in Palestine, if you didn't care about that, why do you care about the Ukraine? I'm just saying. Look at the map of Palestine from the mid to late 40s and look at the map of it now. Right? And no one seemed to care. So I'm just saying. Right? So I think we should pull out. We need to pull out. This is something that we need to be talking about because the sanctions are causing, are not hurting Russia necessarily. What it's actually doing is building a stronger relationship between Russia and China. And they're starting to develop stronger economic relationships. And Turkey is also involved. Turkey, a supposed ally of ours, may not be if a third world World War III, begins, because we kind of, dissed them. They asked for a air missile defense system. We told them no. They went over to Russia, and Russia gladly said yes. So who do you think now they're going to side with if a whole war begins, right? It's going to be China, Russia, North Korea, Turkey against the United States, Britain, and all its other allies. But if you have family members or loved ones in the military, do you really want war? Do you really want war? Does anyone really want war? And so these are things that we need to be focusing on, folks, as a nation, as a society, as a community, as a whole, and not fighting each other over Roe versus Wade, gun control. And these are issues that, they're somewhat of importance. But right now, we need to focus on our economy, inflation. We need to focus on whether or not we're going to end up in World War III. That's a very real possibility. There's a lot of things affecting our country negatively that we're just not necessarily paying attention to. And so I think that we're being purposely kept away from these things with this Roe versus Wade, because I find it very strange that after all these years and after the many attempts to overturn it, the many unsuccessful attempts to overturn it, now they overturn it. Now it gets, it's right. Just more fuel to the fire of folks fighting over these ideologies and beliefs and stuff, and avoiding or not paying attention to what's going on. What are these, people in Washington doing? What is Biden and his administration doing? You know about the Biden laptop? The Hunter Biden laptop? Does anybody care about that? What about the diary that was discovered by Biden's daughter, Ashley Biden, where she spoke about inappropriate showers she took with her father? And no one cares about that, right? Everyone still seems to want to talk about Trump and hate Trump. And just because I say these things does not mean that I'm Republican, does not mean that I'm a Trumpster. I'm not even talking about Trump. I'm not saying anything in terms of, I love Trump or I like Trump. I don't know why you guys keep repeating that. And please, if you're one of these individuals, bring facts, not memes. Facts, not memes. Right? And I do want to talk a little bit about abortion also, actually, because I saw these statistics, right? Because, he's criticizing the Supreme Court. He's trying to discredit the Supreme Court, Joe Biden, by saying that they're working with extreme elements of the Republican Party to overturn, to take away our freedoms and our personal autonomy, when they were just forcing us to get injected or lose our jobs and everything else, right? But they're not telling you about the statistics that should be mentioned, because they're very important before you decide, right? Why, whether or not, you are for it or against it, but at least know the statistics, right? And I just want to mention this. Each year, 2% of the U.S. women that get abortion are aged 15 to 44, right? So each year, 2% of U.S. women age 15 to 44 have an abortion each year. 47% of them had had at least one previous abortion. So just about half of the women having abortion in this country have had at least one. So what that says is that at least half are not those unique circumstances where they've been raped, abused or something, or something to that effect, right? Something where, their father raped them, incest, so they were just raped by some stranger, or a young girl that just, did the wrong, like a 13-year-old girl that, did the wrong thing, not knowing what another 14-year-old, it's not those situations, just someone, they made a mistake. So at least 50%. 50% of U.S. women obtaining abortions are younger than 25. Women aged 20 to 24 obtain 33% of all abortions, and teenagers obtain 17%. So my thing, and I just want to clarify this because someone said, I made a comment and somebody said, this is not the Freddy Vasquez from Yonkers. He's a good man, a good Democrat. His page must have been hijacked or hacked, right? And it's not. It's not. It's just because I have my own set of beliefs that are very, I guess, independent because I'm not Republican. I'm not all the way leaning Democrat. And my thing when I talk about abortion is just that we have to look at the 17% of teenagers that are having abortions. I don't want to talk about necessarily how can we get them to have an abortion, right? I would love to talk more about how do we get them not pregnant in the first place. That's what I'm saying. And so when people hear that, they say, I'm a Republican. You don't understand. You don't care. No, it's not that. It's just that why don't we be proactive? Why don't we get ahead of it, right? And so it seems like people, well, just get her across state lines so she can have an abortion. Hold up. What happened? Where are we going wrong as a society where 17%, right? 17% of the people having abortions in this country are teenagers. Where have we gone wrong? Let's talk about that. I'm just saying, Black women are 4.8 times as likely as non-Hispanic white women to have abortions. And Hispanic women are 2.7% times as likely to have, abortion, versus white women or anybody. So the issue with that is that Black women at almost 5 times more likely to have an abortion than than white women. Their population is a lot less. Black women make up 14% of the population. So that's why that's a huge problem. Because if they only make up 14 and they're having 37% of the abortions in the United States are obtained by Black women, that's a huge problem. So again, what I say is not stop abortion, make it illegal for everybody. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that we need to get into the Black community and we need to have programs for Black women so we can reduce that rate, so we can have a true impact on that number. Because something is going wrong there. And it's not about abortion. And so this is what I want to get to in a second about our local officials here in the city of Yonkers, right? And what are they actually doing? And what impacts are they actually having on the city? We have some important elections coming up, and we have to truly understand who should get our vote. So at just 37.1%, again, of all abortions are performed on Black women, who make up only 14% of the total population of U.S. Women. That's unbelievable. That's unbelievable. That's unbelievable. So what are our elected officials doing, not only nationally, but here at the local level? Anyone know? Can anyone tell me? Anyone know of programs that are designed to reduce the rate of abortion among teenage girls, specifically Black teenage girls? Almost $100 billion of U.S. taxpayer dollars wasted in Ukraine. Yes, that money could be going to programs to reduce the rate of abortion among teenage girls and other programs to increase the rate of success among those who are impoverished, specifically Blacks and Hispanics, but all people who are impoverished. That's what those billions of dollars could do. So when we're crying that we don't have money, yet you're supporting this proxy war in Ukraine, you're contradicting yourself. Just saying. Oh, Jake. And I want to talk about the money that Yonkers has received. Yonkers received $15 billion for emergency rental assistance program. $15 billion. That's a lot of money. Now, what did Yonkers do with that money? Where did that money go? How was that money spent? As the mayor's race and others approach, some people are concerned of what I might say, right? And I'm going to post up a comment that someone wrote. So the tactic that they're trying to employ is to discredit me, make me sound crazy, make me, seem like a person that's just creating fake news. Right? And I hope that's not affected people's opinions of my podcast and who I am and the information that I am putting out. Because believe it or not, most of it, if not all of it, it's very real, very accurate, or close to accurate. And that is why they are putting articles like that or comments, why they've tried other things to, put me down. So again, another comment in the Yonkers Tribune, which is led by two-time convicted felon and political assassin Zehy Jereis, had another comment about me and the Khaders. Together, the band of garbage pail kids like Hezi, who operates the Yonkers Tribune, and Assemblyman Nader Sayegh, who provides a home for the company, which is registered at the 10 Palisade a building that's owned by Nader Sayegh on the second floor next to Nader, Hezi Media Inc. Right? So, so what exactly are they afraid of? So what is it that they're afraid I'm going to say? Right? What is it? Well, I'm all about holding people accountable. As people begin announcing their intentions to run, we must inspect their track record. We have to identify who these individuals truly are and what they truly have done for our city, for our county, in order to assure that, when we give them our vote, we're making the right vote. In my conversations with a very smart woman, the topic of accountability came up. One of the questions was what happened to all the money Yonkers received from the state by the way of federal government. For example, the $15 billion you hear in emergency rental assistance program, right? I mean, there were mass evictions not too long ago, about a month or two ago, happening at Apex. Did those individuals not qualify for some of this money? I want to play the, let me know if you can't hear it. There's no sound there. I have to do it a different way. But basically, they're talking about people who are in need of rental assistance because they're behind. The gentleman that you shown there is a stagehand. He works for, does different concerts and stuff, the lighting. And unfortunately, because of COVID, he was unable to, work. So he was unable to pay his rent. So he was, obviously behind. And so he was in need of some help. And they have this program, which is what they're talking about, this $15 billion program. And they're saying, well, maybe this can possibly help. But I want to know, did it help? Has it helped? Did the money go to the individuals in need?
He owes $9,000 in rent.
Try to pay whatever I can now and plug up the hole to the boat as it's sinking,
Yonkers community leaders believe there are 9,000 in the city in imminent danger of eviction, including Edward.
Feeling the brink of homelessness because I had eviction notices on the door.
He says he gets it, though. Landlords have been patient. We're told some are out tens of thousands of dollars.
A lot of these tenants, it is not their fault. But, at a certain point, that those back rent arrears need to be paid.
But Tuesday,
good afternoon, everyone.
A ray of hope Yonkers leaders kicked off a federally funded $15 million program for its residents to get rent and utility assistance.
This is how our community is going to stay together.
For everyone else in the Hudson Valley, the state of New York launched a nearly $3 billion rent assistance program today, too.
There's really no excuse.
$3 billion for the state. Yonkers receiving 15. It said $1 billion, or was that meant to say $1 million? That's a lot of money either way. And as I mentioned, there was mass evictions happening at the Apex. So why did I have two tenants not pay rent for over a year? Exactly. Where is the money go? Where is the money being allocated to? When did it come in? Where did it go? How was it allocated? Right. And these are things that I want to know. We need to have accountability, because one of the issues that we are constantly having here in the city of Yonkers is money problems, right? Money, money, money. We don't have enough money. There's not enough money for this. It's not enough money for that. But we seem to be getting a lot of money. And this is not just the only money that Yonkers has received. This was just for rental assistance program, right? Yonkers also received money from the $263 million in aid that came under the federal COVID relief bill. $263 million for the Hudson Valley cities. I'm not sure how much Yonkers received of that money, but where can we find out? Where do we go? Is there somewhere where they announce this, they post this? Show Shanae Williams there. Well, the Apex, where there were mass evictions, fall in her district. Shanae, did you not help them? Again, the gentleman is still on Warburton by Ashburton. If you care to go and try and help him out, at least get him a shower. Yes, people have been tossed out. I don't want to put your comment up, Jake. Don't be mean. Don't be mean, right? Don't be mean. Don't be mean. In March of last year, towns and cities, including Yonkers, were receiving a share of the $263 million in federal pandemic aid under the COVID relief bill. Westchester received a total of, so far, in all this relief and everything that they've been giving out to government, $187,926,698. So how was that money spent? What did our county legislators and council members do with it? All I heard was money for the YMCA, money for Snug, and a couple other programs. Is that where all this money went? Well, I happen to know that a county legislator was able to secure $600,000 for a program on the Hudson River, on the waterfront there. I think kids go there to do climate stuff, scientific stuff with the Hudson River and all that. I don't even know. What I do know is that it's not helping kids get out of poverty, right? We have a Yonkers public school district where 75% of the kids are impoverished. The population, 77% of that population is Black and Hispanic, right? So where's that money going? How's it being allocated? Where can we go see that? There should be something on the Yonkers website where we can go and see exactly how each and every dollar is spent, because they talk about it coming in. They love to brag about that. But that's it. You heard that one time, little news clip here. And that's it. Whatever happened. Where's the update? How was it spent? How did it have an impact? What were the results? Because all I hear you guys talking about is distributing food. What are you guys actually doing? Many, many years in those offices, some of you. And while the city is changing, it's not improving for the people that have been here forever, crying for the change. They're the ones that are leaving, being evicted, getting tossed out. These guys have sweet gigs. This is what bothers me, right? Those in charge of allocating the money have it good. It's almost like they are, disconnected with the people, right? They don't really know what's going on. They play identity politics. I'm Black, you're Black, so I know what you're going through, but you really don't. You don't seem to care. Because the only color that matters at the end of the day, and I've learned this, is green. The almighty dollar. I mean, imagine getting a legislator or councilman's salary, plus you have a city or county job where some days you work for only about 2 hours and you get full benefits and pension. Meanwhile, people are being evicted or they're leaving the city of Yonkers because they can't afford it anymore. Or maybe their apartment that they could afford was sold because some developer wants to build some big luxury building that they cannot afford to live in once it's done. Rents are being increased by 20%. So how did that $15 billion, I think it said there, help the people in Yonkers who are in most need of it? Shanae Williams, you were there. You were on TV when they were talking about receiving it and giving it out or whatever. Can you come back on TV or on my show and tell me exactly how that money was spent? Who did it help? How many people out of the 9,000 people that you estimated were in need of rental help, how many of them were actually helped? So we don't see any of that. We don't hear any of that. We don't hear the results. We just hear the fluff. So we must look deep into the track record and say, okay, that's great. You got the money, but where was the impact? Where was the change? Yeah. I want to talk about this before I get up out of here. Where did I put that? It's this comment that was put on because I want to make it very clear and I want people to know the reality of what's going on here, the truth, not to be persuaded by stupidity on Yonkers Tribune. And I think Hezi wrote this comment himself, actually. I think he's writing comments on his own articles. I mean, if you hear what he's saying there, it's words that he uses. He called me a mental midget, but he also called Chuck Lesnick a mental midget in an article he wrote about him a year or two ago. So I want to read that comment. I don't know if you can see it there. The Khaders have created a coordinated misinformation campaign after Mike Khader's stunning defeat caused by his own criminality, which they've yet to prove, yet to identify any criminal wrongdoing at all this time, and taxpayer money spent. Your money, if you pay taxes, has gone down the drain in this ongoing investigation through the use of outside and independent counsel and investigators. That's a lot of money. John Kilo is trying to change history with fake news. They found a useful idiot to spout fake stories on a poorly executed podcast. This mental midget creates fiction about community leaders and elected officials. Oh, really? Now, one of them have come up to me to prove anything I've said. None of them have rebutted. The best the majority leader could come up with was that because she didn't say hi to me, or maybe I have something with her. No, it's because you are screwing the people over to enrich yourself. And I called you out on it. All right. And that's not fake news. That's the reality. Christine, I think, I don't want to out people who create accounts, to comment on my podcast so that way they can do it anonymously. But if they're going to comment, stupidity, then I will look to try to out this person because, I don't like the stupidity. If you have comments that are relevant, I more than welcome them, but some of them are not relevant. All right. So I just, Jake, because I think I know who you are. I'm not going to say though. Anyway, moving on. He walks through City Hall carrying on like a mentally deficient vagrant on drugs. So just that line right there to me said that was Hezi. Hezi wrote this. Well, not only that, but also the mental midget comment, because again, that's exactly what he called Chuck Lesnick in an article he wrote about him a year or two ago. Or maybe it was longer than that, but it was an article on the Yonkers Tribune. Called him a mental midget. So it's using the same language, some of the same words. You know, he tries to use big words to sound important and smart. So moving on. He claims to have a relationship with the Spanos, but they never heard of him. I never claimed to have a relationship with them, although someone on my podcast recently called Vinny Spano my boyfriend. Right, because we were hanging out. So I don't know, but I never met the Spanos. I don't know who those people are. He is aligned with Carolyn Marie, fake name with fake stories to attack. That's not a fake name. She doesn't pay her taxes. She is upset with Rubo. She blames him for her son not being qualified to work for the city. She said she would go away if her son got a job, but he failed a drug test, which I don't know anything about that. I know he works for the county, I think. Why has Johnny Kilo invested in this flea circus? He thinks he can get his mentally deficient brother elected mayor by spreading fake news. You know, and this what I really want people to take away from this is that this is people who are connected to and quite possibly directly involved are elected officials here in the city of Yonkers. And maybe county, who knows? But I know from the city of Yonkers, okay? They are a part of this. And when they talk about a flea circus, I think the flea circus he's mentioning is actually up in City Hall. Because as an elected official, to be involved with something like this is disgusting. And it's a disgrace. And that person should never be involved in politics. And again, Yonkers Tribune, Hezi Media Inc. is registered at the address of Nader Sayegh, 10 Palisade. His building, his office address, same floor. Why is that? And it's interestingly enough that the Yonkers Tribune constantly attacks Casada, constantly attacks Mike Breen, who is challenging Nader Sayegh, constantly attacks the Khaders, and at times attempts to attack the Spanos, actually. So the person that I think financially backs this is a man by the name of Zehy Jereis. And you guys know who he is. I don't know how much he's supporting Tasha Diaz from what I'm hearing. They're at odds, but who knows? It's all a game. It's chess. No one ever tells you the truth. I've never seen anything like it. Been in business many years. You can't trust anybody. You know, I've had a conversation with somebody not too long ago. They told me, don't, take this the wrong way, or don't, be insulted. But I don't trust you. And I said, that's fine, because I don't trust you either. And that person's didn't trust me because I'm me. They just didn't trust me because of politics and the, past, experiences. People being disloyal. Right? This was a woman, not Mike Khaders. A lot of people think I'm talking Mike Khaders and that the Khaders is behind me. Right? So, and this is what they're trying to do. They're trying to, put Freddy Vasquez and the Khaders together, creating fake news. So when the elections come up, you don't vote for a Khader or quite possibly a Freddy Vasquez. Because I'm going to be speaking to you, Tom Meyer. Maybe thinking about running. Because I don't see how else we're going to improve, the situation we have with our elected officials, unless we have new, independent, untainted people. And I don't see many people, jumping up or raising their hands. They're definitely scared of Mike Khaders coming in and running for mayor. Definitely 1,000%. And that is why the investigation is still ongoing. They're going to try and stretch that out as long as possible. As long as possible. It's not about finding any true crime or criminal activity that he committed. It's about keeping him down. Physically, mentally, emotionally exhausted. Financially as well. That's what that's about. It's a strategy. It's a tactic. That's Yonkers politics. Don't mistake it. Don't get, I'll make no mistake about it. That's Yonkers politics. Where's the city council president? Many people say she's absent from a lot of stuff. Why is she not, mending the rifts in the city council between the women specifically? That is the job of the city council president and the majority leader, although she is the, common denominator, it seems. Moving on. Why has Johnny Kilo invested in the flea circus? He thinks he can get it. Yeah. The Khaders were once aligned with a prominent member of the Jordanian community who got Mike Khader elected. And I wonder if they're talking about Zehy Jereis. Is he a prominent member of the Jordanian community? Two-time convicted felon. And what about Nader Sayegh? Is he any better than than Johnny Kilo, as they call him? Does Johnny Kilo have 2 felony convictions? Did he get his own cousin sent to jail for 2 years? Did he destroy his cousin's political career? Did he admit in a court and to the public that he cheated on his wife? He was in love with his own cousin, a councilwoman, although I don't know if that's necessarily true. I think that was just my honest opinion, trying to give reasons to why he gave her all those gifts and the money. But if you're going to continue to have this guy write stuff about me, Zehy, then I'll talk about you. Because my recent podcasts were about Roe versus Wade, gun control, ghost guns, CPS, have families on there. It wasn't about you. It wasn't about Nader. But you guys on June 29th, at 6:57 in the morning, decided to comment about Freddy Vasquez and the Khaders. I didn't see this till a couple of days ago, actually. Again, the Khaders once aligned with prominent member of the Jordanian community who got Mike Khader elected, but also got Mike Khader unelected. When the Jordanian community realized Mike Khader's criminal activity, they turned their backs on the Khader. But again, what do you mean? Nothing has been proven yet. What happened to innocent until proven guilty? So if the Jordanian community has turned their backs on Mike Khader, then they haven't even given the man a chance. And if they support Nader Sayegh, then they support a criminal anyway, because he's supported by Zehy Jereis, a 2-time convicted felon who got another Jordanian imprisoned. Is that okay? Is that how it works? Where's the logic in that? Maybe I am crazy and I just don't see it. Liam, finish your investigation, right? Because it's still ongoing into Mike Khader. Finish it. Is he even working on it? Is he even doing anything on it? Or he's just forgotten about it and just waiting for the word to just drop it. Liam, finish your investigation and shut down this flea circus. Once we get past this nonsense, we can fix the schools and hold Quesada accountable. What? And this is what Hezi Aris puts on his Yonkers Tribune, while other folks who want to comment will never get a comment on there. I know I attempted to twice, never got my comment on, so never tried again. This was before basement politics even. She is upset with Rubo, and whoever makes this comment talks about criminals, but he doesn't talk about, I say he because I believe it's Hezi. I believe Hezi wrote this comment. I mean, just from the wording and the way it's written, I believe that Hezi wrote this comment, and he's being put to this by, I believe, Nader Sayegh, in my opinion, and Zehy Jereis, Tasha Diaz. I have someone who wants to come on the show to talk about Tasha Diaz and others. These people are vicious. They're not very nice people. I mean, how many stories, how many more allegations before you believe it? I'm not sure what happened with the recent allegations that she assaulted a man in her building, the majority leader. But this was told to me by someone who is, if lying, I'm going to tell you who that person was. And he's going to make himself look like a fool. So I hope he wasn't lying to me. Just wait on it. So, I mean, you know, I don't understand this. And I just wanted to talk about it because I want people to understand the truth. I want you guys to know what's really real, what's going on, what's fake and what's real, right? I'm not sure how many people actually read the Yonkers Tribune, how many people actually believe what's written on there. I mean, national stuff maybe, but when it comes to local politics and things like this, how many people actually read it and believe it? Does it influence people? Does it impact what people think of others? Because it shouldn't. This is garbage. A judge already made that decision. And, this is unfortunate that this is what continues to happen, but this is what's a part of our political system here in Yonkers. And again, going after Quesada. Why are they going after Quesada? Because I hear Nader Sayegh would love to be the superintendent. He knows he's not going to win the mayor. They're not going to support him, the powers that be. So he's going to make a deal. He'll support whoever they want to be mayor if they can promise him also the superintendent seat. That's what I'm thinking. So start now. Start putting out that perception of Dr. Quesada now, that he's, not doing a good job, or that he's doing this wrong, or he's doing that wrong. He refused a security analysis, which I'm not sure why anyone would do that if truly the mayor wanted that to happen, right? Why? Why would he refuse? It makes no sense, but it's just to put out an image of perception. So when it does happen, when they do let him go, people can say, well, all this stuff that they were saying about him, he was doing this, he was doing that, not realizing that was all a setup. That was all a setup. And that is why many times people end up suing the city of Yonkers public school, and they win. And taxpayers lose more money. They don't care, the people who do this, because they're not paying for it. We are. We will always pay for it until we say enough is enough. I'm Freddie Vasquez. This is Basement Politics. Thank you for joining me. I appreciate it. I appreciate the support. And again, don't read any of that crap. Yeah, I don't read none of that crap. Yeah, it's all BS. And Tom Meyer, listen, I may be thinking about entering politics. I'm serious about that. I've been speaking to my wife about it. People have been coming up to me, and I wasn't really sure. But I don't want to. I want to be honest with people. I don't want to, last minute say, oh, yeah, and they no, I'm thinking about it now. So Tom Meyer, I'm a Democrat. You going to endorse me, homeboy? You going to go out for coffee somewhere in Bronxville? Me and you? Let's talk. Let's talk about my future in politics, Tom. I'm Freddie Vasquez. This is Basement Politics Unfiltered. Thank you for watching me, folks. Have a beautiful and blessed weekend. I hope to be on Sunday. I have a lot of stuff to do tomorrow, but I'm very excited. A lot of bright things, ahead. So I can't wait.
Let's get it popping.
That's right. I am Freddie Vasquez. Thank you, folks. I appreciate you supporting and watching the show. This is the only place for the real show. For the real news. None of that other crap where we chasing ambulances and... I can't even make the guy's accent. Yonkers boys, Mr. Ruvros, please, guy, I haven't spoken about you either. I don't want to get calls from people because people call me and say, hey, Freddie, he's talking about you again. He's going to probably always do it, but please, just let it go, homie. Let it go. You're the pedophile, not me. I'm Freddie Vasquez, Basement Politics host, the guy that wants to make true change. So I'm ready to do this. Folks, I love you. Thank you. God bless.
Let's get it popping.
My dad, Freddie Vasquez. You're watching Basement Politics with my dad, Freddie Vasquez.
In another one, Mr. Rubo lied to me. Yes. In another one, Mr. Rubo lied to me. Yes. In another one, Mr. Rubo lied to me. And I don't vote for the person that lied to me. Thank you very much.
I was raised in housing. I don't think you were. I once...
Yes.
I was raised in housing. I don't think you were. I went to Yonkers public schools. I don't think you did. We can go on all night with this, honey.
No!
Freddy wins. Fatality.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I intend to. I intend to keep going, and I intend to do a lot of big things. That's why I'm talking to you, Tom Meyer, chairman of the Democratic Committee here in the city of Yonkers, and to the Yonkers Hispanic Democrats. A Latino here is interested. You guys gonna reach out to me or what? ¿Me van a llamar o qué? ¿O te tengo que llamar a usted? Llámame. I can't wait.
Freddy wins. Fatality.
You're watching
Thank you for watching Basement Politics with my husband, Freddie Vasquez.
Freddy wins.